Welcome to TRS Clips, where you'll find happiness through your own curiosity. The only thing that I would nudge guys my age to be a little careful about, it's very modern problems. We call it STDs. Everyone knows about STDs. Most people that I know practice safe sex also. I'm talking about like urban English speaking youth. That is the audience of this podcast. But there's also a very, 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 very sharp rise in sexuality in cities. And there's a sharp rise in casual dating and dating apps related culture. Hookup cultures increase a lot. I have a few friends who've taken up gynecology, and they said that their seniors told them that the amount of STDs they've seen increase lately is insane. It's in the last 5-10 years that they've seen this sharp rise and increase in STDs. That's a gynecologist for women. Do you see the same thing for guys? Like STDs have increased way too much?
Yes, we do see that. The problem is that in a young man, testosterone, when you have a high testosterone, it takes away your maturity. So at the edge of the moment, at the spur of the moment, people will make mistakes because that is how testosterone is meant to be.
Impulsive.
And sexual exposure is something that they would think the least of an STD when they have an opportunity to be exposed.
Wow. Where are they getting STDs from?
Obviously, they're getting it from their partners.
It's from people just like them in terms of social strata, or is it prostitution also?
It can be anything. As you rightly mentioned, that casual hookups and dating apps, they're not prostitution. They are promiscuity.
People are looking for sex. Both men and women are looking for sex.
Promiscuity, multiple sexual partners. So it is a chain. If you have two people and you do not have a third partner, you are unlikely to have sexually transmitted disease. But if one of you is promiscuous, then the chain starts. And then you can give it to another person, and then it goes out of the family, it goes to another person, another family, another person, another family. So that is how geometrical progression happens.
When people think of STDs, I think the core STD lots of people think of as HIV, like AIDS. And then there's like a layer of syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes. These are the terms that come up a lot in conversation if you're ever talking about STDs to your friends. Which of these three is non-curable? I think it's herpes, right?
No, you see, if it is a virus, it is usually not treatable.
As in, it'll always be in your body.
That's right. So what you missed out was hepatitis C virus.
Right.
Also hepatitis B, but largely hepatitis C. So in communities where there is sexual promiscuity, there are certain communities, certain countries, HCV, hepatitis C virus, is rampant because it is transmitted sexually. And HIV is a virus. So it will remain. It can be subdued with medication, both of these viruses. But then, yes, it remains. And there is always a chance that it resurfaces enough to cause transmission. Because the biggest worry of these people, when they come to me, the man comes to me and says, I love my wife very much, but do you think I'm going to give it to her? Or once you treat me, can I go back to her? Because I don't want her to be infected. Now, that question is, the problem is that you have mixture of sexually transmitted diseases. It is never one. So suppose he's gone to a prostitute, then she may be carrying 5 organisms, out of which 3 have manifested, 2 have remained latent, and there is no way that you've actually treated all of them.
Do you think there's many people carrying STDs that don't even know that they have an STD?
Women especially. Because for them, it's a way of life. If they have a burning while passing urine, or they have an itchy vagina, they think it's a way of life because their elder sister or somebody in the family or somebody in the neighborhood also has that. Unless they go to gynecologist who takes pains to look at the cervix, takes some samples, the STD may never be diagnosed. So the diagnosis has to be done. And most important is, of course, beyond this prevention, the person needs to be aware that if he has had an exposure, he must get himself checked. Because that's the least he can do after that. Because by then the testosterone surge has come down and the spur of the moment has gone. Now you have time to think yourself. You should get yourself examined. Go to the specialist, run the tests, see what you can do about it.
What are the common ones you see in India?
We see a lot of herpes simplex virus. Herpes simplex virus is one of the commonest these days, and we also see gonorrhea. Syphilis, we don't see, at least doesn't come to urologists as much. Maybe it is going to the dermatologist because it is the secondary syphilis and the tertiary syphilis that comes over.
What is that? What is primary, secondary, tertiary?
So primary syphilis is a lesion it's a affection of the glans penis. There's this thing that comes up and it's like a sore which heals on its own.
Like a pimple?
That's right. No, it breaks down, forms an ulcer or something.
Okay.
That guy forgets it, but then it resurfaces after a few years as secondary syphilis. So there are certain inflammatory nodules all over the body. It can happen anywhere. We call it gamma. But then these things are rare as compared to what they were 50 years ago. Because the tertiary and syphilis, secondary syphilis, they don't come to a urologist, then I am not in a good position to answer that question. But certainly I see a lot of gonorrhea.
How does it look?
The syphilis.
Gonorrhea.
Gonorrhea looks like there is a painful urination. The person presents with painful and pus coming out of the urethra. It's really pus. Like if you have seen somebody has a pimple which cracks and there is pus exuding. So there's pus coming from the urethra. So it is staining the undergarment. It is all over the glans penis, all over the foreskin, all over the undergarment. So it's staining. So when the person comes to me, he tells me that he has intense pain when he passes urine, he has burning, and he has these things coming out. So I just examine and I take a sample of this pus, send it to the lab, make a slide. So they do a test called gram stain on the slide. With the swab, the sample that I send, they do a culture. And the report comes in 2 to 3 days. But my clinical sense says, yes, this is it. So I treat him with broad spectrum antibiotics, which are supposed to hit gonococcal and additional microbes, which might be there. As I said, most of them are mixed infections.
But it goes away?
A lot of it goes away, yes. If you are if you're giving a good dose, the point is they should take a good dose, complete dose.
If you've had, say, gonorrhea once, it stays in your body forever?
Gonorrhea normally doesn't stay. It's a bacterium which is killed. Once it is killed, it is killed. But the only thing is that if somebody has had a gonorrhea in the urethra and it has caused an ulcer there or a wound there, it heals with scarring. And that is called stricture of urethra. So stricture means there is a pipe and there is a constriction because there is a scar here and then there is a pipe there. So the pipe has been constricted. So there is a stricture in that area. So the person starts passing urine, it comes up to here and can't pass beyond.
Painful
And poor stream. It just can't move. And frequency, recurrent infections, unrelated, non-gonococcal infections, and requires a lot of, maybe it requires a reconstruction for the urethra because this pipe is damaged, totally scarred. So you need to do something to create a passage for this.
Third one, herpes.
Herpes is something which doesn't present with pus. It presents with burning sensation. And there may be no signs of infection, but inflammation sometimes. And then there can be ulcers, which are intensely painful. More than what you can see. Sometimes you can't see. You have to really make an effort to see the ulcer, but it is still causing so much of pain. So herpes simplex virus causes a lot of pain and burning, apart from a small ulcer which it can cause, or multiple small pimples that it can cause.
Also infinite. Like it doesn't
The
die.
problem with viruses is that you can give medication, they will get subdued, but herpes simplex virus doesn't leave body as easily as bacteria can be.
And you will end up giving it to your partner if you get it.
Yes, that's it. So in certain countries, especially the Middle East, they do a test for herpes simplex virus if they are taking manpower from here to there. So one of the tests that they need to do is in IgG, immunoglobulin for herpes simplex virus. Because if you have had an exposure to HSV, herpes simplex virus, it shows up in the blood even if you don't have an infection today. And if that is positive, you don't get a job in Middle East countries, certain Middle East countries, because they know that you are carrying this virus. You could go and give to their women.
I think it's a very smart move on behalf of those governments.
That's right.
Coming back to India, you see a lot of spread of these.
Yes.
How much has it increased in percentage?
Well, we've been seeing it quite often these days. I see at least 2-3 a week.
2-3 a week?
Because I'm actually doing a lot of other things.
Surgeries.
I'm doing cancers, I'm doing a lot of andrology, I'm doing a lot of interstitial cystitis, bladder pain, prostate, everything I'm doing. But I still get to see 2-3 patients a week.
What's the commonality in all these patients?
Commonality is in terms of one that, these patients are usually not very well read. So they come from a middle class community. They are not well-to-do community.
This is a very key conversation.
This is important. So middle class community, and if you ask their women, they would say burning wo to pata nahi kitne saalon se ho rahi hai. So we don't know who is the source, the man or the woman.
It's probably some old boyfriend.
Whoever who has given, whatever. So, but then it is in high society, I don't see as much herpes actually.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.